All right, so we're the ChaCha team, and I'm Chris Covert, director of ChaCha team, Mike Frank. And basically, our project was to develop a question categorizer for the company ChaCha. And the company ChaCha, for those of you who don't know, they're basically like a question and answer service. You text them in a question, and they'll send you back a human response to that question that's ideally the right answer. And so since they've got so many questions coming in and they're all answered by humans, one really important thing is to be able to automatically categorize those questions. So say whichever person's answering your question, if they're not good at chemistry, they don't have to look at questions that are about chemistry or something of that sort. Currently, their system, the system that they currently use, is 80% accurate about. They gave us a training set of data that is also about 80% accurate, which ends up causing us a lot of grief, and we'll talk about it in a minute. And so you can imagine the difficulty in reaching 80% accuracy when there's about 120 different categories to categorize those questions into. So I guess our solution to the problem was, well, we very, very quickly found out that it was to be more of a research-oriented project. And so we kind of started out by looking at techniques like 90 days and SVMs, and ended up just kind of sticking with 90 days for the most part, just because it was the most simple and seemed to be the most flexible in the situation. I've got a quick demo that I can show you. It's kind of a silly little web page that we designed just to do that. All right, well, low resolution demo, I guess. You can ask any question to its discovery, and it will spit back out. Yeah, I guess I server everything else. Effectively, you can ask any question, like who's right here. It's obviously not transparent. Who's Michael Oscar, not transparent. What's the highest point in Shawn? It's a geography question. And so a lot of the problems with this kind of, when you have 120 different categories, I guess, it turns out a lot of those categories are pretty similar to each other. So, it's hard to say here, but if there's a question about Justin Bieber, for instance, should it be categorized under celebrities or should it be categorized under music? It's very difficult to categorize those, and in our training/testing set, there's one category, you're either right or you're wrong. So even though our solution ended up only being about, it was almost 70% accurate against the training set, we found by manually going through that given the categories make sense more than 85% of the time.
Some of the lessons we learned are, so our project was a research experience as opposed to a normal senior project. And this means that you don't have a distinct set of goals, that instead it's experimenting with a lot of stuff, see what works. So it's kind of hard to get discrete tasks done that you can assign to your partners every week. Also, another lesson we learned is client communication is very useful and important, because we didn't actually get our corpus until about a month after we started the project. So throughout the process, we would experiment with something and our client would tell us, oh yeah, we did that. We've done that, and so that helped our or till like winter quarter when they told us they weren't actually using this. So.
Alright, so we got some recommendations, just for you guys to do some kind of research experience. Kind of the big one, like I said, you really need to start this as early as possible. In our case, we were in contact over the summer with our client, but we didn't start really until the beginning of fall quarter. And even then, our clients were very slow getting things to us. We didn't actually really get started with the project until well into fall quarter. So you're gonna should really be on the case of getting on your client, getting whatever details you need. You really need to make sure that every member has has a goal that they're working on. Kind of a big problem with research experience is that there's not really a feature that needs to be worked on all the times. Oftentimes, you'll have one thing that you're currently working on. You have a couple guys out there on part of it, and you can't really help because there's not enough work for them. You'll say, well, try to go find something to do. When that doesn't really work. You're probably going to need to come together and come up with a plan for all those people working on. Kind of the big thing for research projects is that you're going to fail a lot, more so than with more straightforward development cycle. You're just going to be working on something for months, and then you're going to decide, well, we're just not going to use it. It doesn't fit. That was just a failure. So that's going to hurt a little bit, and it's just kind of sap the little work. You really gotta watch out for that. You can't let that get to you.
The one last thing we had huge problems with was scalability, because early on in the development process, we were trying to use as much of our training set as possible because just to make it more accurate and more like the final system. But that ended up causing run times of 30 minutes just to get a single percentage accuracy, and so we ended up having to scale that down. So we're using much smaller training and test sets, and I guess just really when you're making changes, like a small little tweak to your algorithm and then rerunning it for half an hour, and that's another small little tweak and rerunning for half an hour, you're not going to get any work done. So you should either make sure you've got some supercomputer somewhere you can use, or start small and just go big when you're doing more serious tests.
Can I ask a quick question? Actually, I'm going to try and observe something. How did you guys organize the teams? I recollect you had different types of programs. Somebody did debate, somebody else was doing SVM and so forth.
Yeah. So
competing groups in a sense.
yeah, it was kind of tough. For the most part, me and Sherman worked on IAPs, while Shawn worked on LSI and Mike worked on SVMs. But even with that, it's kind of tough. I don't know, to be tweaking two different parts of the same algorithm at once, just because then you don't really have that same control environment. And I don't know. It was very difficult to break it up